It is a very warm welcome to this special podcast with the Women's Rugby Pod in collaboration with Canterbury to Jodie Ounsley. Jodie, how are you? Good morning. You're looking
Morning,
fresh and well.
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm ready to go with the day. I've had my breakfast and yeah, I'm all good.
You're away. Brilliant stuff. You've been a busy lady of late. England Sevens. You were over in Toulouse. And then Zagreb. Oh no, you had a little chipper in the middle of that too. Just playing at headquarters at Twickenham, and a sort of training type game with the England Sevens. How's the last few weeks been for you, pulling on that Red Roses shirt again and representing your country?
It's been pretty bizarre. Like, it's been hectic, but in the best way possible. And especially when we got the run out at Twickenham, that was just like unreal. And obviously in a home crowd, and yeah, it was something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, to be honest. So yeah, it's been crazy, but. Yeah.
Did it give you a hunger for a lot more, tasting that, getting into the bowels of Twickenham is something, very, very lucky to have done quite a bit in my broadcasting career, but it's very special, isn't it? And did it just give you a hunger to go, do you know what, let's crack on with this Seven stuff and I want some more of this?
Yeah, literally. I think it just all sort of give us this great buzz, and just obviously what's coming ahead, like the Commonwealth Games and World Cup. It's a big year, so it was just great to have that chance to play together and in a home crowd, and it's just got everyone so excited. So yeah.
Great. And then over to Zagreb, where you picked up a bit of silverware. How special was that? I mean, had a very good weekend. The England Sevens. A few of you returning sort of from injury, Celia Quanza and yourself. You seem to sort of click more than you have done, if we're honest, over the last sort of 12 months or so.
Yeah, obviously, like, that for us was a chance for us just to play as a team and play together, and just enjoy it, to be honest. It's slightly different from the World Series. So we just went in there thinking, right, we're just going to go out there, enjoy it and play as a team. And I think that's what we did. And, it paid off. And obviously Celia coming back from injury, she's worked so hard. It's unreal how she's got back so quickly. And she's only sort of getting better over the next coming weeks and getting stronger. So, yeah, it was a great weekend. And obviously to sort of, get the medal and the trophy just topped it off.
Nice celebrations. Good fun.
Yeah, it was good fun, yeah.
And she's saying no more, and rightly so. The first rule of Fight Club, absolutely. Yeah, what goes on tour stays on tour. You talk about Celia's injury there and getting back. I mean, you've had a bit of a battle with injury this season. How nice was it to get yourself back out on the park? Because we'll go into it in a minute and sort of just have a little trip through your journey. But physicality and athleticism has been a big part of your life from year dot. How good was it getting back out in the park? And were there some fairly dark moments in that injury?
Yeah, I think obviously I've had my fair share of injuries, and I've sort of missed out quite a lot of opportunities. So when I got the opportunity to come back with England Sevens, it just made me so more like grateful, I suppose, and appreciate it more. And yeah, it just sort of made me feel like everything paid off, and those sort of dark moments were worth it in the end, and sort of made me stronger and where I am today. So it's all part of the journey, really, and I do believe it sort of put me in a better place where I am now. So yeah.
Good stuff. Well, let's have a little look. Obviously, we're partnering with Canterbury, and they're obviously an iconic rugby brand. But I think there've been some bumps in the road by their own admission, and reacting really well to that, and getting some people involved like yourself, from all walks of life, from all different types of backgrounds and different journeys. You've been in the game only realistically a few years, really, but are you just excited to be on this journey with everyone else playing the game at the moment, with where women's rugby is going, and then the likes of Canterbury kind of wading in with little stories like this, and a little part of it are wading in, and the TikTok with Six Nations, what have you? Are you just enjoying this journey that women's rugby is on at the moment?
Yeah, it's quite crazy, because even just in the last couple of years, it's literally just shot up, and it's literally a fast growing game. And it's just great to see how vastly things are actually changing, and you know how people are seeing women's, well, not just women's rugby, women's sport recently. It's just amazing to be involved in that, and it's only, you know, it's still on that journey. It's only going to get better from here. So it's just really exciting to see where it can actually go. And obviously, like Canterbury as well, they're doing so much for the game now, especially over the last couple of months, you know, with the Future Fund and sort of the different initiatives they're doing to like help and support women in the game. So yeah, it's brilliant. So,
you know, certainly as you mentioned the Future Fund there, it's just a pot of money there in case someone needs some boots, or a club haven't got some post protectors, or, you know, just that kind of like an emergency type fund. So if you're one of those people, one of those clubs, just check out Canterbury website. But you talk about that explosion of women's sport and women's rugby at the moment. I'm just going to seamlessly, like a ski sock, just relate that back to you, because you exploded into the game of rugby. You came into it quite late, sort of mid-teens, and you got yourself down to Wakefield, and it's been a fairly seamless rise to the top ever since. Take us back to those very early days. How did rugby come across you?
Well, to be honest, at the time, we weren't really sort of a big rugby family or anything like that, so I didn't really follow rugby. All my sort of sporting backgrounds come from like fighting and athletics. So I only sort of came across rugby when I was around 15, but I did want to try it before that because my dad did play a little bit at a time, just, you know, as a hobby. But obviously I couldn't do rugby because of my cochlear implant, and I wasn't allowed to do that. But long story short, I finally managed to persuade my parents, and then they sort of let me try a session out, and we just thought, yeah, get it out of the system. Hopefully she doesn't want to carry on. And then it sort of didn't turn out like that. And now, all these years later, I'm sort of lucky enough to, you know, call it a career, and all these experiences. It's quite crazy, but yeah.
But that drive, and you know, you get a really strong sense from doing a bit of research here and knowing you from afar, a really strong sense of family, and just the closeness with mum and dad that you have. But that drive to possibly do things that obviously you're very capable of doing, but things that possibly people didn't expect you to do. So when dad's getting a bag of coal on his back and doing his races and what have you, there's little Jodie grabbing a bag of carrots and doing the same, and people not expecting you to do it, and you doing it. Do you remember that early determination?
Yeah, I just feel like it's always been there. It's just like it's always been a part of me, I suppose. And like when when you're young, you sort of I remember seeing my dad train, and I just always thought, yeah, I want to do that. I want to sort of get that carrot on my back and do it as well. And yeah, I want to do that race. I want to compete in that competition. It was just always wanting to do something and get stuck into it, and obviously win, because I always wanted to win races. And when I didn't, and I remember like one sports day, like this worked, bearing in mind this were like, I think high school, and I didn't win a race in like sports day, and I actually started crying thinking I just sort of missed out on the Olympics or something. But yeah, I think I'm just very competitive, and yeah, it's helped me now though. So
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I know I've seen mum say that, you know, in from very early on, you've seen that competitive streak, and look, it's a massive part of what you do, and it has to be there. So when you're badgering mum and dad to get involved with Wakefield, and you know, the implant is a hurdle, but one that you want to get over. How did that come about?
Well, I think I must have seen, I can't actually remember. Oh, my brother started when he was younger, and I was going to watch him, and I was like, oh, that really appeals to me, you know, running, smashing into people, you know, the physicality of it. And then I sort of approached my mum and dad and was like, well, can I give it a go, or is there a way around it? And they was like, Jodie, you know, you can't do contact sports. That's how it's always been. And I sort of just accepted it. I thought, oh, okay then. And then the more I saw my brother, you know, playing games and, you know, playing well and really enjoying it, it was just like, that's so unfair that I can't do that because of my disability, basically. And they could see how much I really wanted to do it then. So my dad was like, well, we'll look into the background of it, sort of just look at research or, you know, what are the actual risks and so on. So we did quite a lot of background research, and then we sort of came across like the scrum cap, and we thought, oh, okay, maybe this could be something that if you wear this, then you might be okay. So that's what we did. We thought, right, we'll try a scrum cap and see if it actually padders the area and stuff like that, and give it a go. And that's sort of how it came across. And it was just sort of a, right, we'll just risk it and just see how it goes type thing. And I was happy to do that. I thought, oh, I'm not bothered. I'd rather do something I'm enjoying. And if it ends in a bad way, then so be it. But yeah, and that's how it sort of started. And then we finally got down to the Wakefield, and we spoke to the coach and said, oh, by the way, this is Jodie's deaf, blah blah blah. And it was a bit like, oh, okay. And then they were so supportive, and it sort of just went from there, really. And yeah, I've had the odd ban and knock and stuff like that, but you know, it's just like hitting your funny bone, and after a couple of seconds it's fine.
There's so much to pick up there. It's just like hitting your funny bone. I mean, Jodie, sorry, quite simply, isn't you're born profoundly deaf at 14 months, one of the youngest people to have the implant you have, and you are the first woman to represent England at senior level as a deaf woman. Just an incredible story. But then even saying then about getting involved, and ladies and gentlemen listening, the lady does the research and in support of her parents and wants to do it, and gets down to the coach and says, oh, this is okay. With your first touch of the ball, about 5-6 meters from your try line, you spin to your right, hand off with a left, arcing run, and go the full distance. If that isn't a microcosm of your life, Jodie, I'm not entirely sure what is. Did you remember that try?
No, I'm not even joking. I literally remember it like yesterday. But what I remember the most is literally before I tripped over my own shoelaces, and I just thought, what am I doing here? Like, and then literally I just remember that. And then I just remember sprinting for my life and scoring it. And I remember my dad was sort of stood right sort of near the sticks as well. And my granddad were there. And I just thought, yeah, it was just a great feeling. I just thought, yeah, I love this. I'm definitely sticking at this. So yeah, it's a great memory. So yeah.
And quite clearly, you got the rugby bug, and people talk about getting the rugby bug. You talk about that feeling on the field. You talk about just how supportive that Wakefield were, because you'd done other sports before, hadn't you? You were sort of junior Team GB sprinter. You'd done British Jujitsu champion at under 18s. The list just goes on and on and on. It's just quite extraordinary. What on earth have I been doing in my life? But did they not give you something that rugby has? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, well, obviously I just love sports. I love the feeling of winning. I love the feeling of pushing myself. And obviously all the other sports, I loved it, but there were individual sports. But I think the difference with rugby, it was a team sport, and you were surrounded by your teammates and people who also loved the game. And you know, I think I loved that part of it. But I do think all like the other sports have 100% helped me be the rugby player I am now. So obviously, like the fighting background, that's great for all like the contact stuff in rugby. Obviously, athletics is great for like sort of the running game in rugby as well. So I think it's all helped me sort of become the rugby player I am today. So. Yeah, but I do miss jiu-jitsu, I have to say, but no, rugby still tops it. But.
Do you not get in the garden with Dad and have a quick tussle?
Well, we still do running. I still drag him out and he does sort of running with me. But yeah, we're still the odd time we have a grapple in the garage and stuff. So yeah, one day I'll try and beat him.
Look, Jodie, I want to just pick up on the kind of mental side, because you're talking about the physical side there of athletics obviously being useful for rugby, and the jiu-jitsu being the fighting and individual stuff. But you also had, and I don't want to talk about the deafness to it, because I don't think it defines you. You're an England Sevens player, full stop in my eyes, and it's part of a journey, but it's not there to define you. Hopefully, I'm right in saying that. But you're really shy and you really battled with your confidence. I think it's you've said as much yourself on social media. How much did rugby pull you out of that? Because it's easy and it's easy. So apologies. It's easy in an individual sport, isn't it? To just be within yourself, and you're fighting. You've got your coach and that one-on-one relationship you have about, and away you go. And it's the same with athletics, start line, whatever. It's an individual stuff. But how did rugby help you pull your confidence and yourself out of those psychological battles?
Yeah, literally massively. Like you say, in sort of athletics, the only person I'd be speaking to, my dad, like helping me with the warm up and stuff. But obviously, coming to rugby, it's a team sport, and I was literally sort of the person in school who I was so quiet, I was just so shy, and the reality is, a lot of it were due to being deaf and stuff, and being almost a bit embarrassed and a bit shy about it, not really wanting to speak to people about it. So I think that did play a big role. And then when I went into rugby, it was like, I actually need to tell people about it, because obviously I'm in a sport where communication is massive on the pitch, and so it sort of forced me to speak to people in a way, which did amazing. That's what I needed. I needed that push to actually push myself out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I think just sort of the teammates and how supportive everyone was, and same with the coaches, I think it sort of made me realise that it's actually not a big deal. It's actually okay, and people want to support you. And then I slowly just started speaking more to people, and then obviously the more rugby I played, I've sort of realised I was actually okay at it, so that boosted my confidence. And it's just sort of over the years, it's just chipped away at it, really. And even now, I'm still not like this big confident person. I am still a shy person, but I've just sort of got better at dealing with it. So yeah, I think it's just sort of a journey, really. But rugby's been like literally the reason for my confidence becoming better. So.
Oh, that's a good tale about our great sport, isn't it? And you say you in your very Jodie type way. I was okay at it. So we go from Wakefield to Saddle RFC. County is very, very quick behind that. Just talk us through that sort of mid part of your journey before you got to kind of proper senior level, and the challenges that you faced there. Possibly, you talk about that communication. Yeah. But as one person, and we'll talk about in a minute who I've got in contact with to get a little info on you. But that person saying the inspiration purely in the fact that you have all your own strategies in place to deal with your disability of deafness. And did that come really early within playing rugby? And that's just from communicating with the players, but all the rest of it that goes with it.
To be honest, I think that's only sort of since I've gone into senior rugby, I've started being more, proactive and speaking more about and finding ways to adapt. Whereas when I was sort of, at county or Wakefield, I sort of just didn't really think of that. I was speaking to people, but I wasn't really properly sort of thinking, how can I make it easier for myself in this situation? I sort of just thought, all right, we'll just get along with it, we'll play along with it, it'll be fine. And then it were only when I first got involved, even really sort of when I got involved with England Sevens, sort of in 2019, and that was because it was, it was a professional environment, it was elite environment, and that was the time where I really needed to be on, my A game and sort of think about, right, I need to give myself the best chance and sort of make it easier in these situations. So how can I do that? So yeah, I think it's sort of come along with time, really, and sort of going into a professional environment, it's sort of got better and stuff.
Jay, how does it work? Because you train and play with your implant in, which, I mean, you've spoken about. It's like flicking a switch. You just turn mute on the telly. That's your world, which you quite enjoy at times. Again, something else. You've said the Jodie world. Some of us, I suspect, are quite jealous of being able to just switch off. That would be quite nice at times. I can assure you. But how does it actually work then? Because as you say, it's constant chat on a rugby field. I know you have to concentrate a huge amount, and there's no judgment about the face you pull. I know you've made comments about that before. But how does it work? What do those strategies then we've spoken about? what do you do on a day-to-day, out-to-out basis during a session, during the game that gets you over that, what would seem an insurmountable disability in playing a game of rugby? The number one key thing is to communicate.
Yeah. Well, in training, mostly like even with drills and stuff. Well, we've come across a new thing, but I'm just going back to how I did it before. We sort of just, in drills, literally, I sort of tend to watch it before it actually happens. So just when I'm missing it, I'll know what the drill is before I actually do it. Or just asking my teammates, literally, can you just repeat that? Or, just simple things like that. And always being in front of the coach so I can read properly, and just little cues. It's not like massive things, just these little things. And obviously trying to understand the players around me and what their strengths are, so I can sort of predict what they're going to do without actually hearing them. And obviously lip reading where I can, that's all I mostly do. And obviously like the analysis as well, just really trying to understand what my team are wanting to do, just so that I can almost predict what's going to happen. But recently I came across a piece of kit called a Roger pen, and it's basically like a microphone. It's so bizarre. It's literally just looks like a little pen, and it's a microphone, and you're literally speaking to it, but it goes straight to my head, basically, because obviously my ears don't work, so it goes straight to my brain. It like bypasses my implant and straight to my brain. So it's so weird. It's like you're in my thoughts. That's how weird it is. And like obviously my coach, sort of my teammates have sort of had fun with it or whatever. But like you sort of just be at the other side of the pitch, and I could be turned away tying my shoelaces or whatever, and you say, Jodie, can you hear me? And it's literally this loud voice in my head, and I'm like, who is that? Yeah, so it's only till recently sort of came across it, and then thought, actually, I could use this in training. And yeah, so that's helped massively in the last couple of weeks, and especially sort of England sevens and stuff. But yeah.
How cool is that? I mean, how unbelievable. You've got a direct line to Tony Stark Industries where you get these kind of Avenger type things made for you. That's unbelievable. But yeah, how bizarre. I mean, let's get a cat out of the bag. It was Dame Katie Daly McLean, MBE. You know how annoyed she gets if you don't mention the MBE. So we always do on the spot. But no, she was the one who's talking about this system which you have now. That's really, really cool. She said, yeah, she did admit she's had a little bit of fun with it. And I know Katie as I do, she would have a bit of fun with it and thoroughly enjoy using it. But that's weird, going straight into your sort of almost like subconscious. The voice within your head is literally there.
Yeah, it's not even, like I say, it's not even like it's going into my ears, because I don't actually hear sound in my ear. So it's going straight to my brain. But then when someone else's voice is going straight into my head, it's so weird. It's bizarre, but it's great though. Like, it's helped me so much more than I ever expected. And it's just obviously the things that I might have been missing before. It's just those extra little pieces of information that I'm picking up. Yeah, but when obviously like the coaches are shouting, obviously when you shout and then you're shouting in a microphone, it's like my head's going to explode. But no, it's so good, and it's helped massively, and I think, yeah, it's had a lot of fun. So yeah,
we're talking about a fun element, and of course there is that, and that's again what you pick up when you know a little bit about you. There's a huge sense of fun to you, Jodie. But within that, and the biggest pickup for me from that is you going out and saying, right, well, how can I better myself? I've got this disability, and it seems to have been throughout your entire life. I've got this. I can't do much about this. How do I get over it? How do I climb over and then excel and push on through? Do you stop and think about the hurdles and that big massive hurdle? Obviously, do you just keep overcoming night and day? Was it just all part of you?
Yeah, I think I've thought, even sort of being at school and so, my mum and dad have always said I've always been like that, and but obviously I think especially going through high school and stuff, that was sort of where it did seemed to become a problem when I was struggling in classes and stuff, obviously missing information. And that's where I did sort of struggle quite a lot with it. But then I think as I've got older and as my confidence has got, better, it's helped me see sort of always a sort of a positive side to it, I suppose, and use it. I always try and use it to my advantage. That's what I think in my head. Like, obviously, it's a part of me. It's always going to be there. It's just how can I adapt around it so that it's not always going to hold me back, I suppose. So yeah, I think it's always been there, but as I've got older, I've got better at adapting. So,
well, it certainly hasn't held you back in any way, shape, or form. And you say adapting. You represented your country. You sang the national anthem, representing your country. How amazing is that? You played in the Premier 15s for Sale Sharks. What's the next couple of years look like for you, Jodie? What do you want to do? I know there's a dream to be an Olympian. How are you going to get there?
Just work hard. Short answer. No, I just keep. Obviously, I'm got a lot to learn still, so I've got plenty of room to keep growing. So I just need to get that experience, and obviously, I think consistency, just stay fit, because obviously with the injuries and stuff. So I'm in a good place now. Just gonna continue, keep working hard, keep learning where I can, and then hopefully gain more experience, whether that's on the circuit or in the Prem 15s. Because I feel like I haven't had a huge amount of game time in the Prem 15s, again with injury. So I'm just excited to see what game time, whether that's 15s or 7s. I'm just open to it. But yeah, my ultimate dream is to compete at the Olympics. But at the same time, I'd always be open to the 15s world as well. I just want to achieve as much as possible, really, wherever path that takes me. So.
Yeah, and I for one, I'm not going to get in your way. Even when your implant is knocked off from your scrum cap halfway through a game out in was it in Zagreb, and for an entire half, one of the latest sevens tournaments, Ellie Boatman was telling me. The implant comes off halfway through the half, and you play an entire kind of half without it there, and nobody would have known at all. And again, pretty much sums you up. Just cool, calm, get on with it.
Yeah, well, I might have come across as I was cool and calm, but inside I was like panicking, but no, I just thought, right, I can't panic, because if I panic, I could make a huge mistake here. So I just tried stay calm, just wait until, because it was near the end, I thought, it's okay, it's going to be over soon. Or if the whistle's blown, everyone will stop moving. So yeah, but you can laugh about it now, but I just didn't want to stop the game in that moment. So I just carried on. But yeah.
Unbelievable. Take a knee. Sorry, I actually can't hear anything. Is a fairly decent knee to take in today's game, when people take knees for all sorts of things. And I just want to kind of just finish up really, because I'm conscious of your time. No doubt you'll things to be doing, and a treadmill to hit or a watt bike to get on, no doubt. But I just wanted to just chuck a couple of words at you that. These people, Katie and Ellie, that I've spoken to, said to me: fiercely independent, brave and talented, tough, the loveliest person, and inspirational. I don't want to make you blush. Oh, it's too late for that. Sorry. No, lovely words from two people. Who you know well and have played with and coached with and what have you. The word I wanted to pick up on there was inspirational. Doing this pod quite a long time now. We're nearing 150 episodes, and we've had a lot of guests there, and I've been inspired by lots of women for lots of different reasons around the world, and I get a little tingling, and if you could see my feet right now, they're going 2 to the dozen, and that's what happens when I get sort of inspired by people. But ladies from Iran who are taking rugby to a new level, but or ladies in Malaysia or whatever it is. But it just equally inspired this morning by you, because and I didn't want to start off on the you're born profoundly deaf, and I just wanted you to sort of let it out as and when you wanted to, and it's just not an issue for you, and I'm absolutely staggered that you've achieved what you've achieved, and it'd be a massive hurdle to 99% of people, and yet it's not a hurdle for you. And I just wondered if you realize just how inspirational that is to the people even very closest to you on the rugby stage, and just people, you know, around the game.
Oh, first of all, I really appreciate that, because like for me, I'm just playing rugby. I'm just doing what I love doing, and that's all I see it as. And it's like when someone says you're inspirational, I'm like, what? So it's like, no, it really just means the world. And yeah. Oh, I don't even know what to say. I'm a bit speechless, but no, it just means a lot to me. That's all. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So.
And what are you doing to inspire the next generation? You do a bit of coaching and that kind of stuff now?
Yeah, I'm just sort of doing a bit of coaching and just doing what I can, really. And obviously I try and use sort of a platform and social media as well to sort of try and inspire people as well, and just motivate people, I suppose. And yeah, and just getting stuck in, and just I've done a couple of sort of talks in schools and stuff like that, deaf schools, and you know, here and there. And yeah, I just love helping people where I can, and that's all I want to do. So anywhere I can help people, I'm just like, yeah. So that's what I'm sort of doing at the minute. And obviously main focus is rugby, and that takes up a lot of my time. But yeah, when I'm free, that's all I like doing, just try and help people where I can. So
okay, well, let's flip that around. Finally, you say you want to help people in the game of rugby. Yeah. We talk about rugby being a game for all, and have involved a long time in the game. I think that's generally true, but it's not always true. What could rugby do to help people with a disability, not specifically like yours, but just with a disability? How could rugby be a little bit more welcoming? You've spoken about how welcoming it was for you, but what could rugby do? Because I mean, it's a good lesson, isn't it, of people listening to this? What could rugby do to just be that little bit more inclusive?
Well, even things like, for example, like Sharks Community Trust, like every Sunday they do sort of rugby sessions for Down syndrome kids, and it's honestly amazing. Like the kids absolutely love it, and you know, it's just everyone coming together. The parents get stuck in, kids absolutely love it, and we're all just playing the game we all love. And it's like, you know, it's just so inclusive, and just things like that, whether, you know, different disabilities or just something where people can get involved, because it's not always easy for people with disabilities just to, you know, get stuck into, you know, grassroots rugby or like that, whether it's just sort of rugby sessions specifically inclusive for people. That would just be amazing, and just find that enjoyment of it, and you know, the feeling of playing rugby, the feeling of sort of having teammates, the feeling of having great coaches supporting your parents. So I think just things like that, and that'll make a huge difference. So yeah.
Brilliant. Jodie, I'm going to let you go. I really enjoyed this chat, and you're getting more and more involved with Canterbury. And listening to your stories for the first hand this morning, I totally and utterly understand why. What ambassador, not just for rugby in Canterbury, but just for being a human being. Yes, a brilliant story. I'm sorry I've embarrassed you slightly, and thank goodness I didn't mention Blue Peter. Otherwise, you would have been really embarrassed.
No, you won't embarrass me at all.
No, genuinely, some really lovely words there, and yeah, it's been a real pleasure and a treat to speak to you this morning. Thank you so much. What are we doing over the summer?
Just carry on training, some 7 stuff if I'm involved, and then obviously into 15s hopefully. So full on, but that's how I like it. Commonwealth? We'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Well, I wouldn't bet against you. Jodie, thank you so much once again. Really brilliant watching your progression, and I will thoroughly enjoy watching it as it continues. But thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.